His best player is 29, and Barcelona's is 33, but PSG's is just 21. Liverpool's best player is 28, while Dortmund's is only 20, and Milan's is almost 40. All of which raises the question, when is a football player at their best? Is there an age where a player's body and mind are at their peak?
You just have to find a number where your mental game and physical game match.
We crunched the numbers to find out. What is the perfect football age? First of all, we looked at the average age of top squads to find out the most common in pro football. A study published in the Journal of Sports Analytics shows that the most common ages are between 24 and 28 years old, and specifically 26 to 27 among players from the top European leagues. And there's more evidence to suggest this is a good age range for players. At the last World Cup, the team champions France put out for the final had an average age of 26.3. That puts them firmly in the ideal age group. And at the 2014 World Cup, Germany's starting 11 for the final had an average age of 27.4, also in that sweet spot. If you veer away from that, you may have a problem. In 2006, Spain went out early, with their players on average 24.9 years old. When they won the title in 2010, that number was up to 27.3. And it's not just international football. Looking at starting 11s for clubs over a number of weeks gives us the numbers 26 and 27 again and again. Clearly, there's something about the number 27. In the music scene, it's far more ominous, thanks to the tragic 27 Club. Fortunately, in football, it's a less somber age. So let's look at the body. When do we reach our physical peak? The eye is at its peak performance at the age of 15. After that, the elasticity of the lens diminishes. You can keep growing up to age 20, but probably not after. The body uses oxygen more efficiently between 20 and 30. That helps the muscles with sprinting and explosive strength. Athletes can sprint faster over longer distances at 22. At 30, bones reach their maximum density. The max heart rate starts to reduce. And the lungs start to struggle to keep up once you hit 35. That's how old Mönchengladbach defender Oscar Wendt is. We've heard the science, but what does that all mean for players who have a game every 3 days?
In your early 20s, you play a game, it doesn't matter how hard it is. The next day you jump out of bed, you feel nothing and you're ready to play again. The biggest difference is in the recovery.
So was he a better player 10 years ago?
Maybe I've lost a step or two now at 35 compared to when I was 25. But I think the difference is not that big. I mean, I never been the most fastest player on the pitch. With experience, maybe now when you read situations better, you can compensate a little bit.
Sure, in football you can compensate, but not in sprinting, for example. That's a sport that makes it very clear which age the body peaks at. Usain Bolt was 22 when he set his fastest time. Asafa Powell also broke the world record at 22. Maurice Green did it age 24. And Jesse Owens was at the pinnacle of his career in 1936, at the age of 22. It's the same with short-distance endurance races. For example, the 3 most recent record breakers in the 5,000-meter event. So if we ask the human body, the perfect age is the early 20s. But football is about more than just physical factors, and so is the perfect football age. The brain is just as important in defining this number.
There's some evidence from brain science that the pathways in our brain that deal with managing emotion don't fully wire up until the age of 25. The older you are, from a footballing perspective, ordinarily you can manage yourself and your emotions better.
Is that enough to compensate for declining physical traits?
When you're older, I think you can enjoy the games in a better way than when you're young, because then you've been in the business so long, so you know, like, your level of concentration and focus, so that you're not, you know, too tense, that you're like cramping up, so you know where to be during game day, before the game, and so you're not hyped up like 2 hours before, so you're hyped up when the game starts.
Good old experience then. So when is a player at their best? At 20, 25, 30?
I think you just have to find a number where your mental game and physical game match. You can be in your early 20s and your physical game is 10 out of 10, but your mental game is not 10 out of 10, then that can't be your peak, and vice versa. You can be at 22, mental game is perfect, but your fitness is not perfect.
So the pro doesn't want to say. How about the psychologist?
I think you'd love me to call a number. I usually find players towards their later 20s, 27, 28, having the conversations I've had as a broad brush statement, that's the kind of age where I think that players tend to become much more accomplished at dealing with the day-to-day challenges in what is quite a high stress environment in, you know, elite adult football.
So based on mental characteristics, the best age is around the late 20s. That seems right. Charles Darwin was 29 when he came up with the theory of natural selection. Mozart wrote some of his best operas at 30. And Steve Jobs was 28 when Apple presented the first Macintosh. Of course, when determining the perfect football age, position also plays a role. There have been plenty of keepers who are still great at 40. And even a few defenders too, but that's much rarer among attacking players. If you look at the Premier League right now, there are only 2 strikers among the oldest 15 players in the division: Chelsea's Olivier Giroud and Sheffield United's Billy Sharp. It's the same in the Bundesliga, just 1 striker, and studies confirm this. Performance indicators show that defenders reach their peak in the mid to late 20s. It's similar with the attackers, but their form drops off much quicker at the end of their 20s. Though, of course, there are always exceptions.
I mean, look at Ibrahimovic is 39 and he's still bossing in Italy. So if I say, yeah, you have your peak when you're 26, 27, I mean, he's 12, 13 years older than 26, 27, so.
For some players, age hardly seems to play any role at all. Most people thought Cristiano Ronaldo was at his peak at 23, when he won the Champions League and was named the World Player of the Year. Few would have expected he'd repeat that feat at the age of 32. Likewise, Lionel Messi was Player of the Year at 22 and 32, and a few more times in between. Can anyone say which Messi was the best? Was Maradona at his best at 25 when he led Argentina to World Cup glory? Or at 29 when he led Napoli to the Serie A title? Do we remember 26-year-old Zinedine Zidane more for his ability than 30-year-old Zidane? Or what about Pelé, who at both 17 and 29 won the World Cup? Maybe it's like love, and age doesn't matter at all.
Then it doesn't matter if you're 15 or if you're 35. If you're good enough, you're good enough.
Some players reach their peak in their early 20s and then struggle for the rest of their careers, like Mario Götze and Alexandre Pato. Others reserve their best football for their latter years. We're thinking of players like Andrea Pirlo and his fellow midfield maestro, Luka Modric. The perfect age, it doesn't exist. Age really is just a number.